Hi, and welcome back. I'm Carly from Soundside Studios, and this is your January 2024 tarot reading. We're going to discuss 3 topics: supporting your career, your relationships, and your own well-being and self-development for the month. Let's dive in. All right, let's get a couple shuffles in here to get our deck all set. As we do this, I recommend we take a deep breath to center ourselves. And we'll set the intention mentally that we may see things as they are and not as we want them to be. I'll cut the deck for us, and keeping everything in mind here, we're going to look at work first and support you this month in doing your best at work. So let's look at skills to really lean into and utilize that you already have, challenges to look for that can help you build the new skills you need, and how you can help other people and create a sense of collaboration and teamwork. Lastly, something to stay open to help you do your best work. Let's dive in. So starting with our first card, the skill set to look at and use to its full extent. The Star is a card about being authentic and making sure that you know who you really are. My recommendation here is to make sure that you're not going to compromise your integrity or your values. Know what authentically feels right to you, and don't let somebody else convince you to do something that is not true for you. Especially if you could take some time off this month and that allowed you to reconnect to who you are, what you value, and what you stand for, then keep those things shining bright as you move forward. Don't lose that connection to who you are and what you stand for at your core. Looking at a challenge that you could bring in and that you could look for to gain some new skills. Well, aren't we just having fun over here? The Lovers is a card about integrating inspiration and passion. So what I would recommend is make sure that anything you're working on is something that you actually care about. Even if you don't know where it's going to lead, and maybe it feels exhausting to get optimistic about things, it can still be worth it because it gives you hope. It gives you a little bit of energy. It helps you go the extra mile. Look for an opportunity where you can fall in love with an idea, a person, a team, a possibility, because then it still helps you stay connected to that authentic self where you are actually getting energy as a result of your connection to whatever the project is at work or the team is at work that you get to work with. Make sure that that's coming from an honest and a true place. Otherwise, if you're phoning it in, people can tell. And it gets pretty exhausting over time if you don't have something that is exciting or inspiring or interesting about what you're working on. You need that somewhere in work this month. And see how that changes the way you work with it. See if that changes the ideas that pop up. Because maybe now you have a little more enthusiasm and you're going to think outside the box and let your creative mind take over. Coming over to the far right side, let's look at how you can better collaborate with others and specifically think about how you can give to them. Given some depth, how about that? I would recommend, okay, now it's up to you. You can decide if you want to be a bigger person here or a petty person, right? You can define this how you want. But what I would recommend is decide what needs to end now. It's a new year. What habits, what behaviors, what relationships, what meetings on your schedule need to be done and a thing of the past? If you are tired of wasting your time with a group meeting where you have nothing to contribute, kick it out. If you're tired of, let's say you're looking for a job right now and you've been hitting your head against a wall in a particular industry, go to a new industry, look at something fresh. Make sure that you know what you are fed up with and over with and communicate that. Stand by it. Maybe you're ready for a new part of your dynamic to emerge, a new dynamic of your personality to emerge in your work. Maybe you're ready to see something else blossom. So let go of the past, let go of those old habits, and be clear on what you want to be letting go of. Lastly, something that you can be open to Even if we don't know exactly what it's about right now, this is just a little bit of advice on what to not block. Being willing to start fresh. What a huge and beautiful spread for the start of 2024 at work. The Fool is a card that represents having a beginner's mind. As you let go of some of these old expectations, identities, roles, habits, be willing to start fresh with an open heart, with an open mind. Imagine the best thing that could happen. Don't hold yourself back being afraid of challenges. You'll figure things out as you come up to them. You have strong enough sense within you that if something is really wrong or is not working out for you, your inner warning system will go off and let you know. In the meantime, you're ready for this fresh start. And so be open to it. If you've washed off the past, you know who you are now, what's important to you, what really gets you excited, find that, pursue that, be really open to that new opportunity. And I would recommend, if you don't know how to get that opportunity, make sure that you're asking around. Start new conversations about this topic. If you haven't gotten to dive into this career path yet, if you have a certain skill set that you want to develop or you really want to work on a certain product at work, depending on what your industry is, start asking. Bring it up in conversation. Who knows where those conversations could go? This is about being open-minded, letting your ego fall, and saying, I want to go try something new. I hope this helps you get a little new energy and advice for how to approach career this month. See where this takes you. Let me know in the comments how this works out. And let's go into our next spread. All right, let's dive into our next spread. You know, living in Austin, Texas, and being a professional reader, when people come to me, because I primarily find women come to me, they always want to work on two things, and it's in this order: career and relationships. So we started today off with career. Let's now dive in and get some support on relationships. In my mind, I'm thinking about romantic relationships, but this will still apply for you even if you're thinking about family or platonic relationships. So let's check it out. We're going to look at how to approach relationships right now, this month, how to take accountability for your well-being and your healing, especially if you had tough relationships in the past, because I think even if you've done the work to be healthy now, maybe that maintenance needs to be happening, and so that will help us there. What you can give to the people around you, and what to ask for or allow yourself to receive. And then lastly, what to simply be open to. All right, let's dive in. So starting off kind of more generally, looking at a mindset to use as you approach relationships right now. All right, being a boss-ass bitch, that's what. So our King of Pentacles is a character that really understands how to make worthwhile investments. We have a city behind them, and we can see that in a healthy city, you have some self-sustaining processes. So this character knows how to get their business in order. They know how to get things running. They know how to keep things running. This is a reminder to make sure that you have your processes down so that I think if you are engaging with other people, they're not going to throw you off your rhythm. Make sure that you know what you're in control of. You know how your life is running. You know what's important to you and how you're going to prioritize yourself. And just have that stable, safe home for you, and however you want to define your business, whether that's, you know, everything that you're doing at work, how you're taking care of your kids, how you're taking care of your home, taking care of yourself. Know where you have that control and how you prioritize that. Next up, let's look at how to take accountability for healing and well-being in the emotional space. Ooh, look at these kings. We are starting the year strong. Our King of Wands is a character who's very dynamic. They're a leader who helps tell other people what to do. They understand how to motivate other people. With our King of Wands, I would recommend make sure you are your own biggest cheerleader. You are starting the day by giving yourself a pep talk, looking in the mirror and pointing out what is going so damn right that it is unable to be missed. After that, if you want to support someone else and cheer them on, great. If you're not in the mood, Don't pressure yourself. Don't overgive. It is not your job to care more about someone else than they care about themselves. You can cheer for them, you can want them to do well, but I would say don't allow this part of you that wants to, be motivating and be encouraging to be exhausted by prioritizing another person over yourself. With both of these kings, there's a quality of being stable on the throne. So make sure that you are taking care of yourself first, and then give what is an appropriate amount to give to others. And we'll have a card that gets more specific on this in a minute. I love this as a start. Okay, next up, let's talk about what to look for in the people around you. All right, the Five of Pentacles is a card that can represent need. And what I think is important here is these people feel like they're in the world but not of the world. And so maybe they feel like they don't really belong. If we compare the juxtaposition of these cards, then it's all the more important that you know what is your responsibility to take care of in another person. If somebody around you needs help, know the extent to which you need to give them help. And also, sometimes the best thing you can do for somebody is withhold that help and support so that they can learn how to move forward and they can learn how to help themselves. The Five of Pentacles is not the most comfortable looking card. It's somebody they're feeling a little bit left out. They're feeling a little bit out in the cold. And I would recommend this month, don't rush to someone's rescue. Be the beacon or be the lighthouse that can help this ship come to shore safely. But let them do the moving. Let them take the actions. You as a king here can be a beacon of light, a great example. You can give a little bit here and there, but ultimately let the other people in your life do the work they need to do. All right, so then let's look at what can you give to others. All right, couple things here. With our Nine of Wands, I think you can start by giving people validation that life is hard. Hear them out. When they need to vent, let them vent. Maybe they need a minute to just say, dang, this is really tough. If you can be that ear for them, great. And when that's happening, ask them, what do they need out of that situation? Do they simply need someone to talk to, or do they want feedback? Those could be two very different things. So make sure that you know how they need that support in the moment. The second thing is let people know where you're tired. Just because you're doing well doesn't mean you're not tired at the end of the day, or that you're not tired of hearing about one person's particular challenge in life. So let people know, hey, I only have a few minutes to chat about this, or say, I'm not having a great day, but could I call you back tomorrow? We can get coffee and chat. You may be tired as well in your own ways. And so communicate where your exhaustion or fatigue is and find the appropriate amount of support that you can give without exhausting yourself entirely. And then lastly, what to stay open to in relationships. The Five of Wands is a card that reminds us that good relationships are created, they're not found. And yes, they do take some work. But this month, identify how much work you want to do for others and with others. Decide what are the right fights to get into, what are the right struggles to engage in. Not everything is equally worth your energy. There's a fun dynamic when there's a little bit of a challenge or a little bit of a tangle. That complexity can make life really interesting. But decide how serious you're willing to engage. And, or what I mean is, allow yourself to decide what topics you want to engage in and to what extent. Don't feel like you have to take on everyone's toughest trauma this month, I would say. Find the right types of, find the people right now that are working through things, and maybe they want a little support, a little feedback, or maybe they want a little distraction from what's happening, but ultimately they are taking accountability for the solutions that need to be found and not needing much from you, allowing you to stay up in your throne and remind people, there's only so much rain in every cloud. Things always get better. And maybe you can be that beacon for other people. All right, hope that was helpful. Let's move on and let's talk about taking care of you. I'm gonna give this a little shuffle here. I'm impressed to see those kings. I think it's a reminder also to not minimize yourself for another person's comfort, right? Like, we don't want you to be in a successful position and then hide that simply because another person is going through a bad day. Make sure you're around people that want to celebrate in your successes or who are challenging you to be better than who you are, rather than asking you to play small. All right. So now we get to come to one of the most important topics, how to take care of yourself. Because if you don't have you, what do you have? So to support this, we're going to look at a piece of advice for the month. Secondly, where to invest your time, your energy, maybe your money, because an investment in yourself is always worthwhile. And lastly, 3 pieces of advice coming from the tarot through me to you. Let's see what we got here. All right. An action that you can take to support you this month. The Ace of Wands, honoring a creative spark. Don't be afraid to say yes to a new idea, a new possibility, simply because it's exciting. It reminds me a lot of the Lover's card that we got earlier. Our Lover's card in career represents being willing to risk a high high, knowing that it might cost a low low, and being willing to take that roller coaster. By contrast, the Ace of Wands is a card that represents being in the moment, believing that there's value in the present moment with whatever it is your mind wants to focus on, even if you can't fully explain whether or not it will be profitable in the future. The Ace of Wands is a reminder to embrace what's happening now, and if it's exciting to you, if it's engaging, go with it. So I would say don't be afraid to break plans. If you had meant to go grab drinks with somebody tonight, but you just got involved in this puzzle that is so much more amazing than you thought, and you want to stay in and do puzzle for the night, then make the text, make the call, send the text, and let that happen. Allow yourself to pursue a new interest, a new avenue. If it pops up, immediately grab your phone and look into it. See where that spontaneity can take you. Next up, an investment to make in yourself this month. We love seeing her. I call this the Beyonce card of the deck because since 1909, she has always been a single independent female in a deck that's primarily men. So this card represents investing in your own slow progress and making sure that you're building an estate around you where you are comfortable. We know that this work is slow because of the snail down here in the corner. And this character has her hand on these pentacles because she's feeling like she has the world under her control. My recommendation here is that we are all going to define security in a different way. And this is about making sure you feel secure in who you are and what you have. Whether that's in a single room that you're renting or in a home that you're establishing, make sure that you know where you have control. And let yourself relax inside the walls of that space. You decide who comes in and who goes out. And just take time to appreciate what you've invested in and what you've been able to build over the years. So this is a card about, I guess, keeping the progress of investment going and knowing that what you're working towards is worth working on. Next up, 3 pieces of advice. Looking at our first one. Okay, honor the fatigue that you're feeling and re-strategize as necessary. If you're feeling like your energy is running away from you, then make sure that you're re-strategizing how you are using and expending your energy. Block up anything that is draining your energy. That means changing habits, not hanging out with certain people. Maybe that means letting certain text threads go if it's exhausting you. Our second piece of advice, getting some familiar cards here. The second piece of advice is allow yourself to choose your battles wisely, know what's worth the effort, and what you need to abstain from. Sometimes you can circumnavigate these challenges, and sometimes you need to jump right in the middle of them. So really decide what is worth fighting for. And lastly, a piece of advice for you this month, listen to your intuition. Our High Priestess is in a very calm state. She's tuned into her inner voice, and she's letting her intuition guide her. She has access to her subconscious. The best way to engage with the High Priestess is to take moments of silence. allowing the world around you to be silent, turning off distractions in the form of music, TV, YouTube, whatever it is, and just sitting still and letting all the thoughts move across your head. When you recognize what's moving across your mind, you will notice, am I feeling panicked right now? Am I feeling scared? Am I feeling in love? Am I feeling distracted? Am I feeling bored? Am I feeling self-critical? Just take a second to tune into that. And as those thoughts move through your head, you can start asking, where is that coming from? Am I feeling financially unstable? Did someone say something at work that's stuck in my head? You can always go back to distracting yourself. Age-old technique, works for me every time, but it can also let you know where the work needs to be done. What challenge is the right one to take on? Maybe you call someone for advice. Maybe you decide to show up the next day and face a challenge that's happening at work. Or maybe you just give yourself some love and some care to calm yourself down and help yourself feel safe where you are. Especially that's helpful if you're dealing with something you can't control. So allow that high priestess to help you tune into that inner voice, listen to your intuition, and go deep, even if it's just for a few moments before you get back up on the surface level and worry about your actions. All right, I hope that was helpful. That was your reading for January 2024. I hope you got something helpful out of that. Now, always keep in mind, my readings are not meant to be predictive. Rather, they provide some new ideas for you to think about, and you decide what you take with you, what you implement, and hopefully this helps you create a future you want to experience. Leave whatever was not applicable, take what works. And I'll see you next month for a February 2024 reading. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, and follow me on my socials to stay in touch. I'll see you later. Happy reading.